come back for the second. India have won the test match. India have won the series.
They're going to get back for two. India are home. Lords goes wild.
Hello and welcome to a new episode of the 81 All Out podcast. I'm Siddhartha Vaidyanathan at Sidvi on Twitter. And I'm thrilled to announce that for the first time on 81 All Out, we have an international cricketer as a guest. So here I'm extending a very warm welcome to someone who has played Test cricket for India, was a man of the series in a one-day tournament, and was one of the key figures of for Karnataka in 3 Ranji Trophy wins in the 1990s. Hello and welcome, Vijay Bharadwaj. Welcome to the show.
Hi Siddhartha, very nice of you to introduce me to all the guests who are there.
Vijay is currently a commentator and anchor for Star Sports 1 Kannada. So we are thrilled to have him on. Also on the show and also from Bangalore is Karthik Shashidhar, who is a quant jock and a stats geek who has contributed columns to the Hindustan Times and the Mint and other publications. Karthik has done some excellent work in the cricket analytics space. We'll surely get him on at some other time for to talk about his statistical models. But as of now, I'd like to welcome Karthik to this particular podcast. Hi, Karthik.
Hey, Sid.
Great to have you guys today. So we are going to take a slightly different route today from statistics and geekery. We thought that we will take Vijay and Karthik back to ask them to rewind to a time when they first got introduced to the game and fell in love with the game. This would have probably been in the 80s and 90s. And so we are going to talk largely about the great Indian pastime called street cricket or gully cricket. For some, it could be park cricket or any cricket which they played at the most amateur level. We thought it'll be great to have Vijay talk about it because he has experienced cricket at various levels. So it'll be very interesting to get his perspective on cricket at the most fundamental and amateur level. And this was also at a time, when street cricket was a big part of growing up in Bangalore. Everywhere you look, you used to have street cricket. The traffic wasn't as bad then. The population wasn't that much. So you used to find street cricket in almost every corner. So it's going to be interesting to get his view. So let's start off with Vijay. If you can give us some context about where you began first playing street cricket, which part of Bangalore you grew up, and what was the setting like?
Oh, it will be a privilege to talk about my earlier days. As you rightly said, there was no traffic at all, and the place where I lived, I was born and brought up in Baswangudi, which was the hub of tennis ball cricket. You name the place, you get it. Lots of tennis ball cricket was APS Field, where you get some legends to come and play the tennis ball cricket. You can't even imagine the scenario where you had about 10 to 12,000 people watching a tennis ball game, which was played over 20 overs on a Sunday afternoon or an evening. That was the same place where you had this double wicket tournament where only 2 people played and 11 fielders fielded. And that was one of the best tournaments to have played for. They called it as Katte Balaga tournament. And then teams from all over the state used to come and play. That was the hub. And interestingly, they had these teams practicing in the same ground. That was like a public ground then. And closely enough, we had, in fact, National College as one of the places where you had legends playing at that game. Someone like G.R. Vishnu, Sudhakar Rao, V.S. Vijay Kumar, Vijay Krishna, E.S. Prasanna. These are legends of world cricket who come up from there. And interestingly, that's the same place where Mr. Anil Kumble also studied, where his grandfather was a teacher. So the entire Bangalore South was cricketing hub. People didn't even realize how important the environment was. As you said, there's a lot of grounds, there's a lot of open spaces. We had M.N. Krishna Rao Park, where we had the school tournaments going. The college kids used to go there and play tennis ball cricket. Tennis ball cricket was the main cricket which got people interested. Without that, I wouldn't have picked up this game at all. I didn't know what leather ball cricket. During those days, we used to call it as leather ball cricket and tennis ball cricket, not the cricket ball. Now, there's a fancy of saying there's a cricket ball tournament going on. We used to call it as a leather ball cricket going on. So the white ball cricket, white dress cricket was something totally different, unheard of. And every time we played cricket on the street was something totally different. Like different rules, different setup. We used to have a road which was like on the corner where no traffic was there, absolutely nothing. Now it's become a main road where you can't even breathe, where you can't even cross over. It's become so busy. Unlike earlier days, I'm talking about 86 and 87, which is almost like 32 years back. So the environment was such that the school kids used to play. We didn't have mobile phones. We didn't have television. In fact, we had few televisions like Vijay Super, Dianara and stuff like that. It was just black and white. No channels came in. So obviously the kids had to pour in onto the ground. And the community was such that, in fact, you can't even imagine. We had about 32 players in the same road. We even now call it as road. The street is named as Survey Street, but we call it as road. Road Gogona Banro, we used to call. Means we'll go to the road. That's the first house of that road was my grandmother's house, my mother's house. So we never went to our house. We always got stuck in my grandmother's house because we got used to playing tennis ball cricket. And there's also one ground where the government girls high school had a ground. Even now we go there and play. Even now I play. So almost it had about 40, 50 years of history for that ground, where some of the legends of the Karnataka cricket had come there and played their tennis ball cricket. And out of our own batch, can you really believe that the 6 of them played for the Karnataka state? I'm talking about Ranji Trophy and junior level cricket, 6 from the same ground. So tennis ball cricket was something very interesting for us. We used to play tennis ball cricket every day in the evening, the moment you come from school. So there are 2 kinds of cricket where some of them, the youngster used to play on the road. And then if you played well, if you showed some sort of a talent, then you were graduated into the ground where we used to call it as a Tini Daba. Tini Daba was the kind of a school name given to that ground. So your graduation happened from the road to the Tini Daba only if you are really talented and only if you can challenge the seniors. So then that is the place where you picked up this challenge of competing with each other. Imagine I said 32 kids at the same time in the same venue. And then we had practicing sessions every day with the tennis ball, 3 games in a day, 8 overs, and then a series kind of a thing. What else you can ask?
Extremely fascinating. I mean, it looks like graduating from road to park was like IIT JEE entrance or something. That competitive.
Exactly. It was so tough. No, I mean, during summers we never went back home. It was 3 sessions in a day. Can you imagine that? 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, and 1 in the evening. And nobody forced us to play. And my mother and my grandmother used to always come and shout saying, Ashton Bistal Adbedo, don't go into the sun so much. You won't be visible after some time. So
yeah, that's a classic Indian worry, right? Don't go into the sun, you'll get dark or something.
I picked up my color from that time. So only time when we went back into our houses was when we were supposed to eat, then have bath. At least 4 times in a day we used to have bath because we used to play so much. I'm talking about summers, I'm saying. And then play a lot of tournaments, travel around, go to places like Peenya, go to places like Malleshwaram. Then Yeshwantpur was a hub for the tennis ball cricket. We had teams which had some freak names. Kacha, Chama, Jai Karnataka, Sandhi 11, then Tini Dabba. Can you imagine these names? Yeah, I mean, they used to practice a lot with seriousness, and you can't even imagine how serious they were when it comes to winning tournaments. It was not that easy to win a tournament. As I said, yeah, there is a scenario where 10,000, 12,000 people coming and watching the finals, or even to that extent, the prelim games. The talent was extraordinary. You can't even believe these people had so much talent. And people boast of having IPL. You know, the IPL started way back in 86, 87 during the Katebadaga tournament. And not only that, from there, the cricket ball also picked up and we called it as Nirvana Cup and then the Basunati Cup. You might have heard about those 2 tournaments. It was a tournament of 30 over format. And then teams from all over the country came and participated. Someone like MRF, someone like India Siemens, India Pistons, they came and played this tournament. You could see these people bowling every now and then at their own will. Even Kumble picked up this googly later in the career only because of the tennis ball cricket. If you have watched him closely, he used to bowl that googly with the fingers. Kumble, I'm saying.
Yeah.
And then Ashwin picked up this tennis ball, carom ball. They've given a name to it. When we played, they called it as Adamahako Balu.
Oh, okay.
Adamahako Balu. Adamako Balu was one terminology. The second was Hidako Balu. Hidako means you'll have to virtually press the tennis ball with your 3 fingers and the index finger playing a major part. They used to deceive the batsman like hell. Those people who played tennis ball cricket could pick up cricket ball googly, toss spinner. Shane Warne's googly, toss spinner was nothing for us. So, if you can read the googly and the Adamako Bolo from tennis ball cricket, no, you can play virtually any spinner in the world. So, there is no back pad together when you played in tennis ball.
You don't have pads, no?
You don't have pads. When I can tell you a story of V.S. Vijay Kumar, who was the captain of Karnataka team, who won the Ranji Trophy, who was a legend. He was the one who inspired us. When I first went into city cricketers, I graduated from tennis ball cricket to cricket ball cricket, the red ball cricket I'm talking about. I virtually had to wait 1 year to get my first hit in the net. The nets was so intense that people like V.S. Vijay Kumar, Vijay Krishna, Sudhakara used to come and play there. People came there just to watch them play during the net session. And this gentleman, V.S. Vijay Kumar, played the red ball, the cricket ball, without pads on, for someone who is bowling at 130, 135, imagine on a matting wicket. I used to go mad saying, how can someone play without pads, without helmet, forget helmet, only on a box on to protect his essentials, nothing else. And this guy was crazy. And he became our coach during the Karnataka team junior. I used to ask him, what was so necessity to go there without using your pads? He said, the moment you have all this equipment, your reflexes go down. And he was telling us, don't try that. You'll get killed. These people really inspired us to take up the game of cricket. And nowadays, the scenario has changed that if you don't give batting for one guy, the parents will be on the ground. The kids won't come to the ground next day. They'll start to complain saying that, no, we're not being encouraged enough. Boss, I waited 1 year to get my first hit in the nets. Can you imagine? Only motivating factor was the salad sandwich, which we used to get in butter sponge. Because we rolled the mat, we hit the net, rolled the pitch, cleaned the surface. We used to get one butter salad sandwich. That was the only inspirational thing for us.
Back in the day, the Bangalore weather was also very, very temperate through the year. So you could play like 12 months. You could just go out. You could play through the whole day. You could play even sometimes in the evenings. Karthik, what was your experience like? I mean, when did you? What kind of setting did you play in when you were growing up?
I never graduated to the field. So,
okay. You dropped out.
I dropped out. I have probably with a cricket ball. After I went to IIT, I bowled. I think 1 over or something, and managed to bowl a dusra in that 1 over. Maybe it hit a stone or something. So I've never really played with a cricket ball. I've always played with not even tennis ball. You had to graduate to tennis ball. We started with rubber balls. We used to play between houses. So for example, there was no compound between my house and the house next door. And there was a bit of a passage. In Kannada, you call it Oni, which is about 4 feet wide and about 40 feet long or something like that. And that's where we would play. I lived on a slightly busy road, but like in front of friends' houses, again, like on the road and so on. From school, we used to go to this MES ground in Jayanagar, the telephone exchange ground, it's also called. And there we used to play, and there we would see like pitches set up about 20 feet away from each other, next to each other. So you can't field at a certain depth at cover point because that will be in the middle of the next pitch and things like that. So that was the environment in which I mostly played. So, but I must mention one thing. Like recently, like about 1 month back, I was walking around my area somewhere in Jayanagar, and like I saw kids playing cricket on the street. So that kind of like I was rather happy to see that, because that's something which we almost never see nowadays.
Yeah, and nowadays, I mean, it's almost like become that when they have free time, it is mostly the pursuits move towards stuff indoors with all the gadgetry and video games and all that. Even on my last trip to Bangalore, and which was basically end of last year, I was looking around, and it was so difficult to even find people playing, which was quite baffling for me, because as I said, back then everywhere you would see people playing. But let's come to specific the legendary terms that were used in these matches. Of course, Vijay has already brought in a couple of terms for the kind of ball while bowling spin. But Vijay, let's move on to, I guess where you played, did you have the concept of one pitch catch and things?
Oh, exactly. And that's the format which we started with. Pitch catch auto, then beat and auto, yard sali kal gauto. You know what do you mean by yard sali kal gauto? Means you get hit on the foot you're on your leg twice, you're out. And if you get beaten, you're out. Pitch catch means out. And there was a concept called as poonch cricket. You heard about poonch cricket?
No, never. What is this?
Poonch cricket is a 30-yard circle, actual tournament which goes on, where if you hit outside the 30-yard circle, you're out. But the boundary is about 65 yards. You get it?
Yeah.
So you have to hit it along the ground, and you can't hit it over the 30-yard circle one bounce. If you hit it straight over the 30-yard circle one bounce, you're out. It's
Very
an actual tournament which goes on, and they call it as poonch cricket. This they invented. In fact, if you ask me, they invented this concept because some of the grounds were not as big as National College or APS. There's a ground called as Kohinoor Fields. So there you can't hit the ball over the top, over and now and then, because that used to go to Ramakrishna Ashram. That's when they invented this kind of a format where they called it a spoon cricket. But obviously there was cricket called as pitch catch out, or in the gully cricket, as Karthik was mentioning, the only what we called it as about in the houses or on the streets. You play this pitch catch out and then beaten out. See, not getting beaten was a skill which I learned there. Even during this Ranji Trophy net sessions, we used to have this concept of not getting beaten. You get beaten, you are hit on the pads, no matter where it was going, you're out. Even the net session, I'm saying. You'll have to wait for the next day to get your hit on the net. So that obviously put us in a lot of pressure while practicing, I'm saying. Someone like Javagal Srinath bowling or an Anil Kumble bowling, Venki bowling, Ganesh, David Johnson during the net session. And if you get beaten, you're out, means imagine the kind of pressure it will be. So this concept came from our gully cricket, where you get beaten, you're out. You get hit on the pads, you're out. And you hit in the air, you're out, which imaginary fielders. So obviously, we started off these terminologies when we were young. So when we came from the school, we had this concept of about 30 kids in the same locality I'm talking about. Then they use this terminology called as Korkomana Banro. Means means we used to make parties.
We used to call it coring in English.
Coring. Correct.
Coring, yes. I went to a CBSE school.
Yeah, I went to a ICSE school, so coring was used there very often. Yeah.
Korko, you know how Korko used to happen? We used to say Bagu. Bagu means you'll have to bend down. Then people used to call numbers.
Yeah,
so
that's Bombay numbers.
Bombay numbers.
We call it as Bagu.
Or maybe in the 90s it changed to Bombay numbers.
Yeah, maybe they colonized this one number. The terminology.
Yeah, I actually never understood why it was called Bombay numbers, because when I moved to Bombay and I was talking to people about gully cricket, nobody in Bombay knew about it. So it's almost like it's some random term somebody came up with and it's stuck. We have to explain. Basically, Bombay numbers is when one person turns around and then there's another person who taps his back and then
bangs his back.
Okay, bangs his back and then puts out the numbers with his fingers. Basically, puts out the number. Say he puts out the number 1, and then the person whose back is facing him has to just call out a name, and so that person bats first. And so it just keeps going on. That person, the number may be 5, the number may be 6, and then eventually what happens is the person who bats last will bowl first. Yeah.
So that came up with this. That brought up this excellent concept called batting Gatakshana, bowling Gilla. So this was this cricket played without teams. When you would have about 4 or 5 people, you couldn't make teams. It was not fun. So you'd play individually, and so like and you would bowl randomly. Like sometimes there would be no concept of overs. You would just keep bowling on, and then you change at your will and stuff. But the one rule was that as soon as you got out, you had to wait and field for a bit before you got a chance to bowl.
So that was when we didn't have the numbers. We used to play this one, but when we had the numbers, we used to have parties. And then 2 teams, name it as India 11, the West Indies. It was always India 11 and West Indies 11. Never England, Australia. We were never fans of other countries, but it was only West Indies who really inspired us. So there were 2 concepts there also. One was the declared runs. The other one was where we had people running and then getting runs. So declared runs where you don't have to run. You just have to hit some landmarks on the ground, where you hit the wall on the opposite side of the ground, you'll get some runs. You cross one area, you'll get some runs. You hit it over the top and hit it onto the road, you're out.
Road is always out. And in this declared, there used to become a short form, right? Like 1 dick, 2 dick.
1 dick, 2 dick. I don't know. People will misunderstand right now. So
Yeah, but
one dick and two dick was always there. Boundary was also there. As you said, these are the terminology which we used to hit. And then Mori Godadra out, Conservancy Godadra out. These are the areas where you cannot hit because those are the prohibited areas. Nobody wants to go there and fetch the ball. That's why they had this out concept when you're supposed to hit it along the ground and inside the ground.
But when they used to play in the park kind of thing, there used to be when the wide was there used to be two terminologies for that. One was ultra wide and one was spectra wide. Were you guys familiar with that?
Yeah, that came after the advertisements of that some tire company.
Oh, yes.
They used to call it as spectra wide. ಇಷ್ಟೊಂದು ದೊಡ್ಡ ವೈಡ್ ಹಾಕಿದಾರಲ್ಲ ಎಲ್ಲ ಹಾಕ್ತಿದ್ಯಾ ನಮ್ಮನೆಗೆ ಬೌಲಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಎಲ್ಲ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ. So it's very interesting character we had when you were talking about this wide, no? He's a close friend of mine even today. So I told you we still play on Sundays evening. Even now we play with the same format. And there was one character he even now comes in place. His name is called as Sudhir. Okay. You know, he's 6.5.
Wow.
And his action is a combination of Shoaib Akhtar and Muttaya Muralidharan. combo of Muttaya Muralidharan and Shoaib Akhtar, because he bowls at such a ridiculous pace. I used to call him for practice so that if I faced him, then going there out and playing someone who's really quick will make that much easier. When I played Ranji Trophy, I used to call him and ask for his help. You know why? He used to bowl at such a ridiculous pace. And not even one ball on the stumps. 5 balls on the leg side, 5 balls on the offside, and you'll be wondering when it will come onto your stumps. The moment it comes and hits you in the wrong position, you're gone. So, you know what was the nickname given to him? In Kannada, they used to call him Yellello.
Okay.
Yellello means he used to bowl all over the place. I don't know which ball he used to bowl on the stumps. He became a rage. Then people started to criticize him because he used to chuck. So they banned him. They banned him from bowling. He said, no, I will not bowl quick. I will not hurt anyone. I'll bowl spin. Then he became Muttaya Muralidharan. With due respect to Muttaya Muralidharan, he is a close friend of mine. But his action was very similar to his. So these are the characters who defined us. So I always felt these characters really enlightened tennis ball cricket and gully cricket. Without them, you wouldn't have imagined. As I said, we used to imagine ourselves being a G.R. Vishwanath or a Sunil Gavaskar or someone like Vivian Richards. We used to call ourselves like Mohinder Ramannath. I'm going to draw this game. I'm going to play the pull shot against the West Indies. So these were all our idols. And then if you look at those names which you're talking about, I'm sure that these are the people who have inspired us a lot. There's another character called as Gudil Ganesh. You know what do you mean by Gudil Ganesh? There was a temple next to our place, and then he used to watch that temple before every ball being bowled. So he used to look at the temple, then bowl one ball. So that's how his name Gudil Ganesh came into play. Why I'm taking his name is because he was a big fan of Karnataka cricket. No matter what Karnataka cricket does, he used to defend those players. Like a Rahul Dravid or a Venkatesh Prasad. He used to idolize himself as Venkatesh Prasad and bowl similar to him. He had an action very similar to Venkatesh Prasad. He always hated Mumbai cricket. No matter what Sachin does, it doesn't satisfy him. No matter what Gavaskar had done, he will not be satisfied. It's always between a G.R. Vishwanath and a Gavaskar. Why GRV is always famous? Why GRV is much better than Gavaskar was a conversation which never ending.
But why Gudil?
Gudil means Gudi. Used to look at the temple, Gudi.
Okay, Gudi. Okay.
Gudi. I used to watch that, do a namaskar and then bowl. His name was Ganesh.
No, I thought it was connected to Doda Ganesh or something.
Never. In fact, Doda Ganesh was a big fan of tennis ball cricket. Dasarali, Pinya Dasarali.
Ah, yes, correct. And he used to be a batsman, right, when he started off?
He used to be a batsman. He used to be a fighter, literally. That's where he picked up this habit of sledging others while he played for Karnataka. From the tennis ball cricket, he picked it up.
Oh, wow.
How to taunt people, how to sledge them, how to fight with them. Like street fighter. You cannot come across a better street fighter than Doda Ganesh or David Johnson.
Very interesting. Yeah, I mean, that whole team of the 90s, it had two contrasting set of characters, right? Like you had the good boys and the bad boys. I mean, bad boys, just by perception, not really bad. But
to be really curt, we had two sets of people. one is English, one is Kannada.
Okay.
You know what? There was always a divide. I mean,
The
that was the
cantonment and
history of
city.
Karnataka.
Cantonment and city.
Exactly. I mean, people used to say Joseph Sudugur one kade, South Sudugur one kade. Even now we have that divide. I mean, that's very unfortunate, but that's how it is. A lot of people, the names of Karnataka cricket who all started with this tennis ball cricket, like the Kumble, Venki, Joshi, Javagal, and myself, Sujit. Everybody are the Kannada boys. They call it as Katte boys. And the other side is the Joseph boys. I don't want to name them, but still, at one point of time, we had out of 15, we had 14 Kannada Katte boys, and there was only one Rahul Dravid. So imagine what will happen to him in the dressing room. That's how Karnataka cricket was redefined. As you're talking about the 90s cricket, I'm saying. So they were street fighters. David Johnson, Doda Ganesh, they all played tennis ball cricket. They all played street cricket. They were all fighters to the core. That's how they didn't just give up at any given point of time. That was one of the main traits.
I guess what we are talking is an extension of Bangalore itself. I mean, the city of Bangalore itself, you can partition it broadly into what you're saying, right? Like Kannada and English in many ways.
Correct.
Yeah. So, but
correct.
Coming back to terms, I mean, my all-time favorite term in Bangalore street cricket is tooth.
Slang, that is. Slang. Tooth nan maga. Give a lot of gali for the guy who used to give tooth.
Literally, tooth means gap in Kannada, right? So, but basically, if the ball goes between somebody's feet, it used to become like a tooth fielding. But then tooth fielding became for all kinds of misfields also.
Yeah, correct.
So I had a classmate in school. We had nicknamed him Tooth Roads because most of the time he would leave tooth, but a few times he would pull off these spectacular catches and run outside.
Tooth Roads is very interesting. It's like a complete oxymoron, right? Tooth and roads.
Yeah, because this guy, like 90% of the time, he was tooth and 10% roads. So.
And then, of course, we had other terms like Atakuntu Lekka Killa, which is like he's playing, but he's not counted. He's a very average player kind of thing.
This is the younger brothers. So let's say you're a bunch of 7th standard boys playing and there's one younger brother who's in 3rd standard. You can't obviously expect him to compete to the same level. So that he becomes Atakuntu Lekka Killa. He bats for both sides. And then and he gets the other term, baby overs. So then there's this other thing, which, so I have the theory that gully cricket in Bangalore is a lot like baseball. So I have a whole list of things.
The rules,
one thing
right?
is that we have a list of rules. So one which was very commonly introduced was no backruns. You would have limited fielders, so you could only hit in front of the wicket. And an extreme form of that would be only leg side runs. So you'd only have fielders on the leg side, and you couldn't, if you hit on the offside, no runs.
Yeah, either offside or leg side. It depends on the configuration of the street. But yeah, one side you usually have no runs. Yeah.
And then you have a left-hand batsman, and the thing messes up completely.
So one thing I wanted to find out from you is that you spoke about all these legends who also played street cricket, like Kumble and other people. But I wanted to find out, were there some characters who were extraordinary in street cricket, but did not have the skills to move up to leather ball cricket?
No, yeah, seriously, everybody. I mean, I feel so sorry for those guys. The kind of abundance we had, the kind of people who were talented, they couldn't make it. And I, for one, feel that on a scale of 10, if I rate myself as 2, these guys were 7 and 8, but they couldn't make it. I don't know for what reason. There are people like Viju or Tolla or a Dilly or a Barcott. These are the nicknames I'm talking about. That's very interesting. Someone like one of my guru, whom I name him as Papata, was extremely talented. People used to go and travel any miles to watch these guys play tennis ball cricket. And they played red ball cricket also, but they were not successful. I don't know for what reason, but somehow there's a huge difference between playing tennis ball cricket and red ball cricket. Fortunately for me, I learned a lot from tennis ball cricket, but still I graduated playing the cricket, so red ball cricket. But there was names whom I cannot forget. Someone like A. Sitaram, whom we idolize, saying that they were the heroes. He played for ITI, he played for Pentanglers, he played for Karnataka, almost he played for Moinudullah. At that time, Moinudullah was touchless. So he bowled along with Venkatesh Prasad, who was senior to Venkatesh Prasad. Extremely talented cricketer. People used to pay him any amount to play for his club. I'm saying tennis ball cricket. He was so passionate. So there were legends who couldn't make it to the next level. But fortunately, there were cases, there were characters. But I remember some of the legends of the tennis ball cricket who couldn't make it. Someone like Rashid Hussain, who played for Canara Bank and then who played for junior level in Karnataka cricket.
So you're talking about the seriousness in which people took the games. I mean, you're saying, there was so much crowd and it was so difficult to even make it to the teams. Were there any, incentives involved? Like, did you remember bet matches, or do you remember, any prize money for the winners or things like that?
When we played, it was all pencil. Then we always played for some incentive. Like the other team will have to feed us with a salad sandwich or a masala dosa in a Vidyarthi Bhavan,
Okay.
or whatever. Those kind of things. But in the middle of the match, if they thought or if they sense that they're going to lose, the entire team used to run away. Then come back again next day, saying they don't want to field. The first instance where I remember was we used to play innings game. You know what do you mean by innings game? Till you get the opposition out, you'll have to field. It's like a day's game.
Oh, wow.
So that was really tough. So the teams used to run away. Then slowly came in the tournaments. We call it as tourneys. Tourneys adak hogana, Bangalore used to call. So the teams were so organized. They used to practice together. They used to have common T-shirts. They were paid well. They were looked after well. They travel, their food, everything. There was one guy who used to be a little rich, could afford everyone. So he used to be the kingpin, like the Kerry Packer. They called him Kerry Packer of cricket. You know what? It is interesting that Kerry Packer for G.R. Vishwanath was one gentleman called as Egna Narayan.
Okay.
He was the one who picked up G.R. Vishwanath from the streets and then made him a cricketer. And there was another coach also who identified G.R. Vishwanath. It's not story, it's actually the fact. So there are a lot of people who used to encourage us. And I remember playing for these pencils. The tennis balls used to play. If the team lost, they used to give us a lot of tennis balls to the other team, because that was used for practice sessions. Earlier, it was not affordable. You couldn't afford equipments like the people nowadays do. And they used to play a lot of money also on bet. Sundays was bet cricket. There were people who used to bet money on the teams and also on the players. Their job was to just go there and bet. I know it was illegal, but still, as youngsters, we used to play for one team. We didn't know what was betting going on. We only used to get one idli vada in that SLV after we won. If we didn't win, nothing of that sort.
No
idli vada. There's one SLV in the corner, even now it is there. That was a legendary place where everybody used to go there and then eat after the session. So food was one incentive, then equipment was one incentive, then the pencil and the pens was another incentive. But more than anything, it was the pride. You made a name for yourself in tennis ball cricket, no? Then people used to call for your clubs and ask you to play for that club. That was the incentive. For an youngster to go there and then impress their seniors was the main thing.
So there were people from the clubs who were watching these games then?
Exactly. The city cricketers, where I was born and brought up in club cricket, was the city cricketers which had a huge legacy of G.R. Vishwanath, Sudhakar Rao, E.V.S. Vijay Kumar, and Sujit Somsundar, Vinay Badami. All these people played for country and for the state and the country. These people, when they played, people used to assemble and watch their practice sessions. So that's how club cricket was. Every day in the evening, that was the kind of entertaining thing. So if you have to get into the net session, you'll have to be extraordinary. Only then you would survive. Otherwise, no way you could survive.
We can start with Karthik for this and then we can move to Vijay. So Karthik, who were the kind of famous international cricketers who people mimicked when you played? Because that used to be a major thing back then, right? Like pick up some action or pick up some stance and then just try and mimic it for as long as possible.
Actually, stance, not so much, but action. I think again, around the time we grew up, everyone wanted to bowl with Srinath's action. So because he was like the fastest bowler at that time. And then I used to bowl spin, and the people used to ridicule me a lot because I would try and bowl spin. I mean, like fast bowling was seen as the real kind of bowling and so on, especially with our rubber ball cricket in schools and ODIs and all that.
So with Srinath, you mean the original action or the changed action? I like the original action.
This is pre-96. So before his first injury. So the original action.
Okay, very good.
So we used to all try to bowl like Srinath. if you try to bowl like Manoj Prabhakar, then you were ridiculed. So,
Let's come to Vijay. Vijay, who are the main ones? You spoke about Shoaib Akhtar and Muralidharan combined in one guy, but talk about a few other people who they imitated.
These people looked up to all these West Indian cricketers.
Hmm.
Had you heard about names like Winston Benjamin,
Yeah.
Andy Roberts, Michael Holding. Michael Holding was one of the greatest characters to have been followed, and some people even nicknamed Clive Lloyd. So there was one character whom they called him as Clive Lloyd because he was the captain of the team and he used to wear some specs. So Richards was a great hit. Then Mohinder Ramanath was one of the best characters to have been followed. And Kapil Dev was a legend in our time, so people used to copy his bowling action, Kapil Dev's action. Now here comes Kapil Dev from the Teenage Dabba, and they used to have this commentary going. Kapil Dev used to come and bowl. So was Venkatesh Prasad was a big hit for us. You know, interestingly, Javagal Srinath came and played in that ground till recently. And when we gave him batting, he got out run out twice. So I said you'll have to come and play because I have been brought up on this ground. It's a legendary ground. People have come and played there, so you have to come and play here. So he came, he obliged, he had Idli Vada in that SLV after the game, but he got out twice, run out. So we used to follow a lot of cricketers. I mean, we idolized them. No matter what we did on the ground, ultimately it was our action, it was our stance. But if you look at my stance, it was more like a Mohinder Ramanath stance. Even when I played for Karnataka or for the Indian team, I used to have a crouch stance. I don't know where I picked it up. It was all from Mohinder Ramanath. You know, interestingly, there's a Parse which was named as Kalaika Parse. Have you heard about it?
yeah.
The groundnut festival which goes on in Basungudi.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
In near that the famous temple, Bull Temple, right?
Famous Bull Temple, yeah. So when we were young, we used to go and participate in that Porsche, and we used to get that hat, the floppy hat.
Okay.
I used to buy one floppy hat, wear it on my head, and I used to call myself Mohinder Ramanath.
Yeah, he had that Sola topi,
he
right?
had that floppy, the white color. Earlier days it was like that. And Alvin Kalicharan or Rohan Khanna used to wear that, no helmets, nothing of that sort. And all these legends of Karnataka cricket used to wear that. Sudhakar Rao, G.R. Vishwanath, our Raghunath. They used to wear this white color hat. So I don't know where you used to get it. So I went into that Parse, picked up one hat, and then imagined myself being a Mohinder Ramanath. I don't know for what reason Mohinder Ramanath was my hero, all-time hero, because I could see him getting hit on the face, coming back again and playing against the West Indian fast bowlers. That grit and then that willingness to go there and play was the one character outstanding.
Whenever I saw you bowling, whether it is for Karnataka or for India, I always instinctively thought that you must have been a legend in tennis ball cricket bowling. Was it? Am I right? Because the way you bowled.
He was a hero in tennis ball cricket. I used to bat, I used to bowl, I used to field. You name that, I used to do it.
Yeah, but your bowling, it was that fastish spin in tennis ball is unplayable when you do that in nothing. I mean, even in international cricket, it was good. But I'm saying I can imagine.
If I were to be consistent, I would have been unplayable. On a bad wicket, I was unplayable. People used to say, I picked up this trait from playing tennis ball cricket. Actually, that's the case. Every now and then, after I finished my batting, I used to bowl for hours and hours. I mean, if you look at that angle, the carom ball was very easy for me. The googly with the carom ball was easy for me. I can mix it up anytime. But in cricket ball, it's not easy to get it on length. Like the finals in the Ranji Trophy in '99. Previously, I have done that 4 or 5 times for Karnataka, picking up wickets after tea time and then winning in the junior level. I still remember under 21 finals, Karnataka versus Hyderabad, where Vijay Lakshman was the captain. From 101 to 125 all out, and they lost the game by 25 runs, chasing 150. Can you believe that? And Lakshman being the captain for Hyderabad in the finals of the under 21. So this fastest off spin actually came from tennis ball cricket, and I'm sure that Kumble also picked up from tennis ball cricket. It used to be a little faster during earlier days. but slowly added up variations for his bowling variety.
Yeah, the Ranji final that Vijay is talking about, it was against MP in 99, right? And they were
Yeah,
chasing
99.
240 odd, and they went, Vijay got 6 wickets in that match. 6 for...
Six for 24 after tea time. That itself has become a legendary story now. That game has been rated as the top 100 game in the history of world cricket. I'm stressing it. It's not Indian cricket. History of world cricket. It has been rated as the top 100 games in the world. So that was my record year where I got some 1,300 runs in a year. And then I missed century in both the innings of the finals. 89 not out and 75 out. So if I had got that 100 in that 99 finals, 3 finals, 300s it would have been. First was 96 against Tamil Nadu, 140 odd. Then against UP in Bangalore, that's 130. Then finals MP, I missed out 100 in both the innings. So my tennis ball cricket definitely helped me out, even if the red ball cricket that way.
Yeah, there's a YouTube clip actually of that that recently somebody had shared of those. So I'll link it as well. And it was quite a thrilling evening when Vijay just ran through the MP side and Karnataka went on to win that final.
Interestingly, MP has never won the Ranji Trophy.
Yeah, that was the closest they came.
Yeah, that was the closest, and Chandrakant Pandit was the captain.
Yeah.
After that, he resigned. He went unconscious in the dressing room because at tea time he was batting. He had to bat only 23 overs and 7 wickets in hand.
Yeah, and MP had taken the first innings lead. So if they had just drawn it out, they would have won the match.
90 overs to go, 240 runs to get.
Yeah, the target was just 247. And Chandrakant Pandit, actually, I remember once he got out, he collapsed on the way to the pavilion also. He almost fell down crying.
That's what I was saying. You had to put a bucket of water on him.
Wow.
And you had a huge crowd during the day, and everybody was a tennis ball buff. Yeah, if you watch that video, the fan following was so much for us, Karnataka. You could see the Karnataka flag being waved, the banners being held in the Chinnaswamy Stadium. And that main guy who got all the fans onto the stadium was the guy who organized my tennis ball cricket during my tennis ball days. His name was Medda Ramesh. He's the main producer for Kannada films right now. Yeah, Medda Ramesh was the Kerry Packer of tennis ball cricket. Okay. Imagine he comes in at 99 final and then he draws the crowd into the stadium. Look at the passion. Tennis ball cricket was a big thing and it moved on to Karnataka cricket as well. So because we had some legendary players playing in the finals and the fan following was huge for Ranji Trophy also then.
Absolutely. Vijay, you'll be interested to know that I was also there at that final, by the way. I saw your spell.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. I was there for the last day and, me and my friend, we actually had a bet about who would win. And I went with Karnataka because, he first said MP and so I had to obviously choose the other thing. But in heart of heart, I thought that maybe they will pull it off. But then we were lucky to see your spell. The crowd, and talking about Chinnaswamy, in those days, that's something I want to bring in because in those days, of course, there was no IPL. And so the main attractions was Ranji Trophy or the very, very occasional international game that used to be played. I think there was an India-New Zealand game in the late 80s. And then, of course, the famous India-England game in the 93 when Javagal Srinath and Paul Jarvis took the man of the match. So how was it like? Tell us both, Karthik, maybe you can start off. What was your first experience of going to Chinnaswamy and your thoughts about the stadium and your memories?
I've only been there, I think, 4 or 5 times. So the first time was that 93 Paul Jarvis and Srinath game. Back in the day, you could take your own food. So I remember we had I went with my dad and we had taken juice for the drinks breaks and then lunch for the lunch breaks and it was we had planned out everything. And it was a massive crowd. I remember we had to kind of it was through influence that we had got the tickets. But one thing I remember is that we left before the game was over. So my dad was like, look, we are losing. So because we are losing, if we stay till the end, there might be some galate. So let's leave. So I think when India was 5 or 6 down, and then we just left the ground then. And then after that, the next time I went to Chinnaswamy was 2004. Michael Clark's century. So we thought my friend and I thought okay, Australia is 5 or 6 down at the end of the first day. They'll soon get all out and we can watch India batting. Instead we ended up watching Clark bat for I think nearly 2 sessions, I think, and then India promptly collapsed. And then I've probably gone only once or twice after that.
Yeah, I think that 93 India-England game is almost most people that in our generation would have gone for that game because it was nearly 5 years before Bangalore had an international game before that. So
Yep.
yeah, Vijay, what about you? I mean, I'm talking as a spectator. What are your memories of first going and watching live matches?
My first live match was the India-New Zealand Test match
Okay.
where Richard Hardy played
Yeah, this
and
was in
Danny Morrison
88,
was
I think.
bowling.
88, yeah.
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 So Danny Morrison was bowling and Richard Hadley bowling. I went there and watched Sajay Manjrekar getting hit on the toe. I still remember that. That was one game which I watched, and I've watched quite a lot of games because we used to get passes if we played junior cricket for Karnataka. One pass that S stand.
Okay.
We used to go there, sit together as junior cricketers, not on the ground, in that a particular stand, and then watch India play. So that was very inspiring. In fact, I watched the '96 game after playing Ranji Trophy, where Venki bowled at army soil out in the '96
World Cup.
Pakistan
Yeah.
World Cup. That was a huge packed stadium, and in fact, have played in a game where we had about 15 to 20,000 crowd. That was the Karnataka Tamil Nadu game in Bhadravati. That was my revival game. Yeah, that was that was one game where we had huge numbers coming in. It was like a festival where you had stalls outside the ground. People used to come there and have their lunch, their whatever, breakfast, everything, churmuri, belpuri, the mangoes, everything. It's like a festival kind of a fair kind of a thing. Same thing with Bijapur, where we played against Hyderabad. It was a huge crowd. I'm talking about crowds coming in for Ranji Trophy and also where I've watched some of the games sitting outside. Very, very inspiring games I'm talking about. So these were legendary games. Some of the games which I cannot forget even now. I can even remember the small incidents where the India-England game you're talking about, there's a lathi charge and then every person used trying to get out of the stadium was lathi charged for no reason. And then there's chappals strewn all over. There was tiffin boxes all over, food being littered all around. So those were difficult times. Unlike nowadays, where it's user friendly, watching friendly, and those days were very difficult. Getting into the stadium, getting out of it was a real mess.
Yeah, and back then, I remember because the Kaveri situation was also at such a height, the Karnataka Tamil Nadu games used to get extremely heated.
Yeah, extremely heated. So that's why I said that was a revival game for me. And you know, interestingly, I was shivering, literally shivering in the dressing room before I went into bat. And I was number 3, number 4 was Rahul. Rahul was the captain. We had Kumble, Srinath, Venki, everybody playing that game because it was against Tamil Nadu. And they had a bomb side. Robin Singh, Venkatramana, Sunil Subramaniam, Divakar Vasu, S. Mahesh, Sadagovan Ramesh, everybody, Sharad, Girat, everybody. And it was a full packed side. And we were supposed to win that game to win the South Zone Championship. And I was like 17 years old. Imagine the game being televised. It's on the radio. There's some 20,000 crowd. And that's my last match if I don't score runs. And I go into bat on a wet wicket. Imagine the score reading like this during lunchtime. Karnataka, 37 overs, 25 for 1.
Okay.
Oh,
Not
wow.
in one ball I played with my bat. Either I got hit on the chest or on the pads, but I survived 37 overs, shivering. Almost every ball I was shivering. I'm saying how pressure will be. That was initial days of my Karnataka cricket. Then I came into the dressing room in the lunchtime and I was crying. Sujit is saying, "Yenappa alata idya for what reason?" He's also on the non-strikers, and I said, "Boss, I cannot play my cricket like this." After lunchtime, I go in. First ball, stepped out for a fast bowler, hit the straight out of the side screen for a 6 fast ball after lunch in a day game. And from lunch to tea, I'm batting 130.
Wow.
Oh.
That was my revival game. And you know how many runs we scored? 780.
Oh, wow.
Tamil Nadu got all out for 340. And we smashed them 96. Same year I remember we getting into the finals again, meeting Tamil Nadu in the finals in Chepak. We got 700. One full day wicketless they went. So the
Yeah,
rivalry
that was
with
when
Karnataka
all
and
you
Tamil
guys
Nadu is
got
always
hundreds,
there.
right? Rahul
Yeah,
Dravid 100,
everybody.
you got
I got
100.
100. I got 100. Rahul got 100. Joshi got 90. Ganesh got 90. Jaswant got 95. And Sriram got 60. Sujit got 99.
Avinash Vaidya also, right? Avinash Vaidya.
Avinash Vaidya opened for us.
Yeah.
And they dropped J. Arun Kumar. They played Avinash Vaidya as an opener. First day we were 170 for 1 when I went into bat. Second day it was wicketless. It was like leather hunt for them. For the first time we won the Ranji Trophy after 13 years. Imagine that.
Yeah, that was a historic moment. Absolutely.
Yeah,
that too in
correct.
Chepauk.
That was
Because that was
Chepauk.
of the 3 Ranji trophies, that was the one you won away from Bangalore. So
Exactly. That was a game changer for Karnataka cricket.
now if you go for even Ranji Trophy matches, you will have a group shouting RCB, even during Ranji Trophy games.
I don't know what obsession they have with RCB. One angle, it's good to have a fan following, but I don't know.
But you have to give it to Bangalore. I mean, despite never winning the IPL, they still have built up this fan following to such an extent that they sell out all the games. They are very passionate.
Huge, man, huge.
Yeah.
I shiver even now while commentating. I don't know where Yadudre Kashta anta. You know what do you mean by that? If I say something against Kohli on the Twitter, you're trolled. Star Sports is sending me mail saying that you've been trolled like this and you've been made the villain. After the 10th game or 11th game, even I was disappointed with RCB for the performance. I said, Nandi Hadidare and everything is over for RCB right now. And that became a legendary dialogue. And people started trolling me on Twitter. Look at this, man. Even I am a big fan of RCB. I've been the assistant coach for RCB for 3 years. And I don't abuse them, but still, they're so sensitive.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is now, and the branding as well, right? I mean, you can, all these little taglines like Isala Cup Namde and all has made a big difference, I think. Even though many people make fun of it, but still it's a conversation starter.
Yeah, correct. I don't know when they will cup tegitare.
well, this year maybe not, given the circumstances, but let's see.
Yeah. So twice we came close, winning the IPL, but twice we lost in the finals. You remember that, no?
Yeah, 2009 was a pretty bad loss.
Deccan Chargers.
Correct. Yeah, Deccan Chargers. Yeah. That was in South Africa. Then again, we lost to Chennai.
That was a bad loss, I think. It wasn't a close game like the Deccan Chargers game.
Yeah, correct. I was assistant coach, unfortunately.
Okay. So we have spoken about legends of street cricket, but I want to reverse it a bit now, and maybe Karthik can start off. Maybe pick 2 or 3 international cricketers. I mean, these could be either from Bangalore or from elsewhere. They could be even from any other country. Who you think could have excelled in the street cricket that you played in Bangalore?
There are 2 or 3 cricketers whom I feel would have been a hit in Bangalore street cricket. One would be probably A.B. de Villiers would have been a great hit.
Yeah, with his ability to hit anywhere in the field.
Then probably those people who can't sweep will never survive in tennis ball cricket.
Yeah.
Those people who can't use the backside of the wicket, the square of the wicket, then they wouldn't have survived. Someone like Kedar Jadhav would have been a great hit. Someone like A.B. de Villiers, I feel, would have done wonders. From the generation where I played, Sachin would have been one of the biggest hits. You know why? He's creating brains is such that he can hit anything. Paddle shot, sweep shot, anything. And you look at Sachin, everybody talks about his game in front of the square. But have you seen his paddle shot? Have you seen how he adapted for Shen Warne? Someone like an Azhar would have been a great hit with tennis ball cricket. With the kind of wrist he had, then with the kind of array of strokes he had, Azhar would have been one of the biggest hits. I'm talking about batsmen. Bowlers, I don't know. Bowlers would have struggled. So, Javagal Srinath would have been an exceptional guy. And Venki picked up this back of the hand slower and playing tennis ball cricket. Interestingly, Venki and me are from the same college.
Oh, okay.
Vijay College.
Okay.
So, there we had a small ground also in Vijay College where they used to play tennis ball cricket. So, Venki picked up the slow run from there, from Durwani and Vijay College. The back of the hand slow run, who I feel probably one Simon O'Donnell would have mastered that as big as Venki.
Yeah, so that Venki, it was extremely effective for him, especially in the death overs of one-day cricket. I think in that World Cup that we spoke about, the '96 World Cup, there was against Australia. He bowled the final over, and I think 5 out of 6 balls was only.
Four wickets for 0.
Yeah, correct.
Can you imagine that? Everybody remembers Venkatesh Prasad for that Army soil incident, but I remember him for that 0 runs, 5 wicket against Pakistan in the Test match in Chennai.
Correct.
And then 0 runs and 4 wickets against Australia, as Siddharth was mentioning. And I keep reminding Venki, nimu gotta, you still remember that? He says, "Yen madadappa," people don't remember. That's because of the back of the hand slow run. That was picked up from street cricket, nothing else. He mastered it. Then Dada Ganesh got it. He learnt it from Venki. And unfortunately, Srinath never learnt it from Venki.
Srinath never picked up the slow ball even till the end, right? I mean,
he confesses even now.
Yeah.
Srinath could bowl fast, but slow run, if he had that slow run, then Srinath would have been deadly with bowling someone like 145 and getting the slow run suddenly down to 90 or 95 would have made a huge difference.
But apart from, these, you've spoken about skills, but apart from that, talking about from the street fighter perspective, you mentioned Ganesh, but was there anyone else that you can think of, either Ranji or street cricketer who comes to mind straight up as a street fighter?
Are you talking about Karnataka cricketers or?
Yeah, Bangalore, that you played with.
Oh, David Johnson was there. He was brilliant, and there was one guy called as S.R. Deepu. I don't know. He played junior cricket all his life, so he was a brilliant tennis ball cricketer who could have excelled anywhere. You know what? Before the bowler bowled, they used to get into some awkward positions. Aku guru, madu guru, you'll say. They'll select the bowler while playing, and then they get into some awkward positions. People don't know where to bowl. So this Dil Scoop you're talking about nowadays was way back then. So I remember these tennis ball cricketers. As I said, Sitaram was a legendary tennis ball cricketer who excelled in both red ball cricket as well as tennis ball cricket. So I'm talking about Karnataka cricketers. Otherwise, everybody who played with me during the Ranji Trophy time was probably had picked up a few skills from the tennis ball cricket. And Sujit was also one of them. And I would have picked J. Arun Kumar any time.
So fair to say that the 3 Ranji Trophy victories were built on tennis ball cricket.
Yes, 100% sure. 100% sure. As I said, there's 14 from Kate.
Okay.
Kannada Kate boys.
They
all played tennis ball cricket. Yeah. So imagine wicket keeping, man. I was a brilliant wicket keeper in tennis ball cricket. You were talking about my bowling. I was the main wicket keeper for all the tennis ball teams, and I have kept wickets for Canara Bank in red ball cricket. Tennis ball, I was a punter wicket keeper. Not even one ball I used to miss. You know why? The Adamako ball or the Hidako ball, if you don't pick it up from the hand, you will never be able to play.
Absolutely.
So if you are standing as a wicket keeper, you will understand what's he doing, and you wicket keep against some of the legendary tennis ball bowlers. You'll be a brilliant batsman as such. So standing in front of the wicket, keeping up to the stumps. What did Sadanand Vishwanath do to Kapil Dev, man?
In 85, right? The World Championship.
World Championship. He kept up to the stumps. And have you seen Sadanand Vishwanath leave Tutu? No.
No way.
No way. No way. You cannot come across even in a single instance where you could see Yashasvi leaving goal. So these are all tennis ball cricket skills. And moving down the leg, and when you're blinded, collecting down the leg is one of the best skills. The way they moved across. Everybody in the commentary box started to question me. You're a bowler, you're a batsman. How can you comment on wicket keeping? Boss, even now I can tell you what the skill is wicket keeping. All those are cricketing skills we learned during the street cricket days.
Absolutely. I think we should definitely then call you back for technique specific podcast on some other day. And of course, we could talk about your career in detail, but I will leave that for another podcast. But for this one, thanks so much. I think we have covered very good ground, and thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you very much, Siddharth. Hope I'm not a Tusmanja. I'll end it with there.
What is Tusmanja?
Someone who leaves Tus means goalie.
Oh, okay.
Flop show.
Flop show
means flop.
No, of course you're not a Tusmanja. You have in fact been the star of the show, and you have given us so much of great content. Thank you so much, Vijay.
Oh, thanks. That was a privilege talking to you.
Karthik,
Yeah.
thanks to you too. And
You're welcome.
bye, guys. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
So that brings us to the end of another episode of the 81 All Out podcast. Please subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever else you prefer. It would be wonderful if you could leave a rating and a review so that more people find us. You can also follow us on Twitter at 81 All Out and check out all our previous podcasts and articles on our website, 81allout.com. In case you're still listening, here's a shout out to our sister podcast on regional movies, whereistheotherbanana.com. You can follow them on Twitter at theotherbanana and watch out for updates on all the movie reviews and discussions that they put out. As always, we would love to hear your thoughts on the work we do, so please send us your feedback. Goodbye.
In the air, Srijan takes it! India win! He'll come back for the second. India have won the test match. India have won the series. They're going to get back for